students, welcome to this program on distance teacher and distance teaching. We will more specifically look at what do we mean by distance teaching. Of course, you must have read about this much earlier, but you could refresh on some of the important points that could be considered as a distance teaching. But more importantly, we will look at who could be called a distance teacher. So this program is all about distance teacher and distance teaching. If you look at the first transparency, you already know that distance education has passed through almost 5 generations, technologically speaking. Distance education could be defined very differently, as you must have read in some of the course materials, especially ES 311, defined by varieties of scholars, distance educators, and more specifically the definition and the theory given by Professor Michael Moore on transactional distance. But look at the generations of distance education, starting from correspondence education, proceeding towards multiple or mass media education, where it could be called as a industrialized process of teaching and learning, where radio, television would be dominating, and audio and video, of course, would be coming in. A third stage, telelearning, conferencing bed. It could be computer conferencing, it could be teleconferencing, audio conferencing, and video conferencing. So it was largely conferencing based, though all through the print still remains the master medium. In fact, some of the universities, including, say, for instance, Central Radio and Television University in China, would go for television based telecast or broadcast based programs, and print would still subsume as a smaller role, and television interaction live as well as discussion in the class, as they call, would form the basic process of teaching and learning at a distance. The fourth stage is flexible learning, whereby lot of developments on the web, on the net, would be brought in. Synchronous, asynchronous communication, online interaction, and basically dealing with a transformative learning called constructivist learning, that every student would be provided pathways to construct one's own meaning derived from the content and other kinds of interactions that are being provided, or even through self-reflection from the student. Finally, you would see in the transparency that the final stage today is intelligent flexible learning, that this is an automated technological response to all kinds of questions that are raised by students, which are basically academic-based, technology-based, management-based, problem-based. Any kind of personal problems could also be addressed through technology. So it is an intelligent flexible learning, an automated response to different kinds of clients sitting at a distance, but getting the response from the single source. So if a university has got 10,000 students, and each student decides to study each course through a different methodology, one through face-to-face, second through distance learning, third online, and fourth maybe community-based project, and fit totally independently by oneself without help, support from any mentor. All kinds of possibilities would be addressed by the university. So this is an intelligent, flexible, automated response, and therefore the entire university system is geared towards that. This is a preliminary discussion on refreshing on what distance learning is all about. In the second transparency, you see that there are different models of delivery of distance education. Examination preparation model, for instance, University of London, long back they started. The first one is examination preparation model. The second is correspondence education model. Third, group distance education model. Fourth, learner center model. Multiple mass media model, followed generally by the British Open University and the Indira Gandhi National Open University. Network-based distance education model, Germany, State University of New York, Ferned Universität in Germany. Technological extended classroom, which could be called basically a distributed learning, a technological enhancement of the same classroom and maintaining equal quality. Say, for instance, University of Maryland, University College, USA. And finally, the virtual university model, say University of Phoenix Online, is one of the finest examples of that. These models tell us that there are varieties of different ways that distance education is organized, delivered, is implemented. And therefore, all these models will tell us that different ways that people who are be working within this system, whatever the irrespective of the model, they go on doing certain tasks which are common to them, and there are certain tasks which are specific to different models. The common tasks that you will find, if you look at distance teaching learning, that they are certainly doing what is called two-way mediated communication. They would bring in technology including print to mediate what they would like to teach. Or in other words, technology will be mediating to facilitate student learning. In any case, unless it is a synchronous communication like teleconferencing, or if you are having a chat in an online platform or using a Yahoo group for chatting, for instance, there is synchronization. So the communication is synchronous. Other than that, most of distance learning assumes or happens through a pre-produced course. That simply means that print, audio, video, all kinds of multiple media resources, learning resources, and procedures are predetermined and pre-decided and pre-produced before learning takes place. And therefore, teaching precedes learning. Third, you will find it's a guided didactic conversation. The conversation that happens through step-by-step process is certainly guided. Guided, it could be a self-direction by the students themselves, or it could be guided by the mentor. If it is a self-learning print material, for instance, then it will be the print itself will be guiding the students step by step. And there is a need for a mentor in the study center, for instance, or online interaction. There is an e-moderator. Everybody is guiding, is mentoring, and there is a didactic conversation going on, dialogue going on between students, between mentor and students, between tutor and students, and so on and so forth, and between the learning resources and students themselves. This could also be called, as you have seen, industrialized system of education. There's mass production, division of labor, specialization, line management, quality assurance, quality control, as they would say in the industrialized system, marketing, and so on and so forth. All kinds of industrialized system in a mass education. This is a team teaching, and therefore specialized people joining in a team that we'll see little after are involved in this. And therefore, the distance, if they are defined in distance education, would be defined in three terms: dialogue, structure, and independence. Dialogue, the more you reduce structure, the more you increase dialogue, more you increase independence. So if you reduce structure, you are enhancing independence, and if you are bringing in two-way synchronous communication, and you are increasing dialogue. So therefore, if a teleconferencing program, for instance, is unstructured, it is open-ended, and it is synchronous, it would be the least distance for the students. In an open classroom, for instance, I said open classroom in the sense that where open learning is provided, that in a classroom teachers and students are available, but they have followed the kind of curriculum whereby students are free to choose their pathways, to choose their content, to choose their methodology, assessment strategies, and so on and so forth, and their own pace of learning. In that situation, for instance, distance will be much less. And maybe in the same classroom, if all these things do not happen and the teachers go on lecturing and the students go on listening, then there might be a possibility of long distance. So let us see the kinds of people that are involved in distance education. You see in the transparency, varieties of people are involved, because unlike a classroom teacher who goes to the classroom with the help of a curriculum, textbook, period of study, or the timetable, and with the help of students. The teacher would be in fact translating the curriculum, explaining the curriculum to the students. A single teacher fully responsible to whatever teaching learning happens. And learning is also a responsibility of the teacher in the sense that teacher goes on assessing and providing feedback and trying to facilitate that every next time, the learning of the students increases. But in distance education, when a team is involved, you will see in the transparency that there are administrators, there are faculty, technical and professional staff, non-teaching staff, writers, editors, script writers, audio and video producers, multimedia designers, instructional designers, study center coordinators, counselors, tutors, evaluators, study center support staff, researchers, evaluators. All kinds of people are involved, and they have a specific role to play, and they are specialized people, and everybody has a role to contribute to what is called distance teaching, or in other words, to contribute to facilitating your learning. So therefore, distance teaching is a team teaching, and everybody has a precise responsibility. So therefore, let us look at that. If all these people are involved, who could be called as a distance teacher? Now let us look at three kinds of developments that you see on the transparency. three kinds of developments that have taken place of late. That there have been tremendous developments in broadcasting, there have been tremendous developments in telecommunications, and there have been tremendous developments in computing. So all these three kinds of people who are now playing a major role in distance teaching and learning, because distance teaching has gone much beyond to net-based learning or mediated communication through the internet, and beyond Web 1.0 to Web 2.0. And when Web 2.0 has come in, a lot of social technologies have come in, lot of social software-based technologies which are open source based, they have come in. So therefore broadcasting, telecommunication and computing, they have joined together to what is called mediated distance teaching today. That is the latest, the convergence of broadcasting, computing and telecommunications. Now you see one kind of development which you see on your transparency, social networking. This is distributed, this is participatory, this is collaborative, this is open, this is student center, this is constructivist, therefore a lot of social learning is involved in this. Both individual learning and group learning contributing to enhancement of social learning. Learning negotiated in social contexts. One's own understanding and meaning negotiated in groups. With the help of students, with the help of peers, with the help of other members, in work situations, in family, and so on and so forth. If you look at the transparency, there are a lot of social software, open educational resources, and social networking available. What are these technologies? Blogs, mob blogs, wikis, broadcast, RSS feeds, search engines, mobile learning, and search engines. There are a lot of competition going on today. Mobile learning, intelligent publishing, and so on and so forth. And the communication over Internet Protocol, CIP, combining text, video, voice. All these three, and Internet can connect to cell phones, to PDAs, and to computers. All this combining together is providing a different kind of platform on the Internet today, whereby the software, the educational resources are open. They are socially available, they are free of cost, provided one has broadband internet to access them. So therefore social networking and social networking technologies are available today. So therefore the range of distance teaching would start with correspondence education, with simple self-learning printed materials, with assignments, assessment systems, personal contact programs, and examination with self-learning, to what is called a social networking based, open source based distance learning today. Therefore, if we extend that to a situation whereby a teacher who could be called a distance teacher needs to necessarily combine, whosoever could be defined as a teacher, and more particularly in this case a distance teacher, must have pedagogic knowledge, must have ICT knowledge, must have curriculum knowledge, and must have knowledge of the learners. And teachers have their own values and beliefs, and there is a learning environment. Within this periphery, whosoever would be in a position to take up responsibility to interact and therefore contribute to facilitating students' learning would be precisely called a distance teacher. By nomenclature, by whatever reasons it could be, institutions would differ to define distance teachers. Worldwide, institutions differ. And therefore, say for instance, Indira Gandhi National Open University has its own definition of distance teaching and distance teacher. A lot of debates, a lot of changes, a lot of soul searching, a lot of reflection is going on right now who could be a distance teacher. Look at this transparency and feel that if you could contribute to this, you are a distance teacher. And simultaneously, distance teacher today has gone beyond information technology, communication technology to include social technology, Generation 5 technology. So information technology Generation 1 and 2, communication technology Generation 3, and Generation 4 and 5 social technologies are there, Web 1.0 and Web 2.0 as open source. So therefore, as they would call learning 2.0, for instance, or online learning 2.0. So this is a situation that every distance teacher must contribute to. Therefore, finally, to conclude this story, so far technology is concerned, on the left-hand side you will see Web 2.0, which is an informal network. In between, the open education resources and formal e-courses that are available, interacting with Web 2.0 social technology, open source platforms. And on the other hand, right-hand side, you'll find there is a need for occasional physical presence and meetings. All these put together would be called today what is called a blended learning. So therefore, a distance teaching starting from correspondence education has ended up today what is called blended learning. Now let us look at what are the major responsibilities of a classroom teacher. If you look at the transparency, you will find that the classroom teacher's major responsibility is classroom teaching, which would involve lectures and other kinds of processes and approaches, that mechanisms that are associated with, or teaching strategies that are associated with lecturing. Practical classes, conducting practicals, providing hands-on training, examination and evaluation. The person is responsible for revision, research, extension, and corporate life of the institution. Of course, every other person is also involved in corporate life, but teachers are involved in corporate life through teachers associations. Now let us look at what are the major responsibilities of a distance teacher. When you look at the transparency, you find that the first major responsibility is, of course, distance teaching. What is that distance teaching? That the teacher is involved in curriculum and course design. We have a process of modularity and credit-based curriculum and course design, in course development, facilitating course development, contributing to course development, institutional delivery, written, instructional delivery and instructional transaction, including counseling, maintenance and revision of courses and programs, program evaluation, research, it could be discipline-based and systemic, training, extension, and so also corporate life of the institution. So therefore, you would see the basic difference between a classroom teacher and a distance teacher lies in the way they would like to teach. The student is the same. Of course, in distance teaching, student studies at a distance by self-learning, by self-direction. And in classroom teaching, a student comes to the classroom. Therefore, the teachers also come to the classroom. In distance teaching, a distance teacher could be at any place. That doesn't necessarily mean that the distance teaching is sitting under the sky somewhere and teaching. The distance teacher is also available in an institution, in a workplace, in a situation, in a home, somewhere under the roof. The guy is available. But the students are also equally scattered elsewhere. But this is teaching at a distance, at their own pace, at their own time. And therefore, space and time is defined very differently from classroom teaching to distance teaching. You find in the transparency. Now look at the transparency. You see that the distance teacher must have the subject knowledge, must have the language skills and communication skills, must be part of instructional design and pedagogy, must be able to design one's own course, and therefore one must have mastery over how a course is designed, in a way saying that how a course has to be taught to facilitate student learning, must have knowledge of educational media and mediated teaching, must be associated with production of materials, especially copy editing, proofreading, graphics, copyright. These are now the responsibility of a distance teacher. These are all associated with development of learning resources. Knowledge about learners and facilitating learning. This teacher must be in a position to appreciate that what is learning, what is student learning, how diversified student learning styles are, and therefore how to facilitate that diversified student learning. Academic management, working in and managing in a team, and therefore the distance teachers at times has to act as a trainee, as a trainer, and sometimes as a master trainer. So as you would have seen, that distance teaching is fairly there are a lot of commonalities in principles, but the way it happens in distance teaching is different from the way it happens in the classroom. And therefore finally settling that there are distinctions between classroom teaching and distance teaching. Who could be a distance teacher? That's precisely the question. Let us look at a report which was submitted in 1991 by Professor Ram Takwale, who became later on the Vice Chancellor of Indira Gandhi National Open University. We would call that an Takwale Committee report, and some of them at that point of time we were in the Teachers Association responding and dealing with this report. The report provided a solid basis to define who could be a distance teacher. Let me read out the quotation from the report. The role of a teacher in the distance education system is considerably different from that of a teacher in the conventional system. A clear perception of this difference is very essential to understand the range of functions performed by academics in the distance education system. In distance education, the role of an academic cannot be conceived only in the context of the methodology and technique associated with classroom teaching. Distance education teacher is not just a scholar or specialist in his or her discipline. He or she has to be a distance educator in the first place, while also being a subject specialist or an experienced professional. These changes in the roles should get reflected progressively in the qualifications, methods of recruitment, and the professional development of the academic in the distance education system. Friends, you have gone through this statement, the quotation from the report, the first report, which debated on who could be a distance teacher. Therefore, the report gave designations like academic, other academic, and professionals and technicals, administrative people. Those who are in a position to get involved in what is called distance teaching would be called as a distance teacher, and who would have subject specialization, who would have knowledge about methodologies, and who would be, of course, experienced professional. And but the report said that they must have requisite qualifications, and the methods of recruitment should spell out that it is for teachers, and the professional development, they would go through a continuing professional development meant for teachers. Now, let us look at what are the tasks that the Takwala Committee report jotted down for a distance teacher. Preparation of courses and programs, maintenance of courses, revision of courses, and revised edition of courses. These are precisely the tasks that a distance teacher would do. So when one is preparing a course or a program, one is talking about instructional design, subject content mastery, subject specialization, methodology, knowledge about methodology, knowledge about students, learning styles, and so on and so forth, assessment strategies, and gradually when the course is offered, one is maintaining a course, one is revising, carrying forward minor revision of the course, maintaining assignments and practicals, and changing procedures or anything that the student has to do as a continuous evaluation, and also term and examination evaluation, and finally undertakes evaluation of the program and therefore revision of the courses, and finally maintains that revised course or revised program. If you look at the transparency, you find the same Takwala Committee report talked about other academic tasks. What are those other academic tasks? Which are associated with other academics, for instance. Preparation and production of audio and video programs, delivery of services to students, evaluation of students' performance, system development, program evaluation, of course, is written here, planning, language editing, translation, library, and documentation. Therefore, all our colleagues and functionaries who are associated with these functions that you see on your transparency for that report would be considered as other academics, or today they would be called as academics, and those that we saw in the first instance would be called as teachers. Now, let us look at the different categorization. Teachers, therefore, would be professors, readers, and lecturers, and today with this Chadha Committee report, they would be assistant professors, associate professors, and professors. Academics, our regional center colleagues, analysts, research officers, producers, planning and development division, academic coordination division people, and allied people who could be called as academics. Therefore, the question arises, what if the regional centers provide counseling, interactive video counseling, teleconferencing? They are doing an academic activity, and therefore would you like to call them as teachers? There was a Kidwai Committee report. The producer and editors, that committee report called them as professionals. Though these producers and colleagues, they are parts of what is called members of the Teachers Association. So therefore they are professionally members of the Teachers Association, but they would be called as professionals. In 1999, there was a cadre review committee. That committee assigned graphic artists and camera persons as academics. So therefore there have been in precedents and varieties of committees who would like to define to the best of their consideration. Of course, they would have informed decisions insofar as the committee reports are concerned. They would define technical, professional, academics, and so on and so forth. Now, therefore, finally, let us have a clarity on who could be called as a distance teacher. That anybody who is involved in course design and development. Course design and development is a common thing that anybody would like to be called as a teacher, and the person must be involved in research. Other things that you have seen in this presentation, whatever you have seen, there are plenty that you have seen. They could be undertaken by these people called as teachers, but this is fundamental to them to be called as teacher. Anybody, and therefore who would be involved in course design, curriculum design, course development, and course development would involve writing and developing, editing your course materials in print, audio and video, and all kinds of multiple media-based interactive multimedia, maybe web-based course, and so on and so forth, or teaching through a social technology or open source software or open educational resources would be called as teachers. This is a basic fundamental to anybody who would be called as a teacher. And the second thing that you will see in the transparency is that consideration. I mean, anybody who would be called as a teacher must have been considered by definition, by statement, by procedure, in terms of qualification, service conditions, roles and status, and work ethics. So therefore, if a qualification has been put up as a teacher and somebody has been recruited as a teacher, must be called as a teacher, because the qualification says that this qualification is for the recruitment of a teacher. And if the service conditions they are akin to or they comply with whatever service conditions would be meant for a teacher. Basically, we have talked about course design and development. There are many periphery tasks, including academic management, for instance, involvement in media production, and so on and so forth, including proofreading, for instance, graphic design, for instance, which are very much periphery activities which a classroom teacher never does, in fact. It could be called as a teacher. Service conditions. Roles and status must be specifically defined, and finally the work ethics. And there must be work ethics or professional ethics available, at least a work ethics available within which the teacher has to function. And therefore, if the teacher is functioning within that and there are work ethics available for different varieties of professionals involved, including teachers involved in distance teaching, if they are specifically attributing to that and they are conforming to those work ethics, could also be jolly well called as teachers. And therefore, friends, that we have seen that distance teaching is basically different from classroom teaching, though the principles of teaching learning remain the same. Here the focus is on students' own learning, so the focus shifts from teaching curriculum-centered, content-centered, teacher-centered teaching to student-centered facilitation of student learning, so student-centered teaching in a way. So the methodologies, processes, ingredients, time and space involved in teaching and learning would significantly vary from distance teaching to classroom teaching, and they will be basically different. And therefore, those involved in basic parameters of teaching and learning in distance teaching, course design and development, and of course instructional transaction, those who are involved in these are very much distance teachers. But to call others as distance teachers, they must get involved into these processes, and also they must have qualifications and service conditions and roles and status and work ethics which would be similar to or almost similar or almost same as meant for distance teachers. So finally, you take a considered view who could be a distance teacher in your own institution, for instance, or any institution that you are working, and therefore you may come out with your own reflection on who could be a distance teacher. And we have seen in this program what is distance teaching and who could be a distance teacher. I conclude this program saying that we all involved in distance teaching do a lot of tasks which are beyond the definition of teaching and learning, beyond the definition of teaching at least. And but there are certain core activities that could be called as teaching, and any non-core peripheral activities that one does, that will be in addition to those core activities to be called as a distance teacher. Thank you very much.